Hey, what's going on, guys? Welcome to Vets to P.S.C. My name is Ken. I just want to let you guys know right now I got something very, very hot. I mean, this is global war on terrorism, GWAT money for the contractor world. This thing is real. I've already confirmed by two individuals. One who's a friend of a friend who has someone working for them referred me to this program. Within filling out, probably within an hour or under an hour, I get a call from the recruiter asking me if I'm willing to deploy on the 21st, or the next set of round of deployments will take place in October. So this is real. I had another buddy of mine, very close friend of mine, who operates offshore tactical down in South Florida. He's got a guy right now currently on this contract. And when I asked him, hey man, is it true what they're saying about the money? Is it that $1,000 a day? Is it that static $850 a day? And he goes, all I could tell you is that my boy is getting paid. And that confirms right there that the poison is real. So I'm going to go ahead and give you that information, walk you through, just like I do with all the other videos that I make, walk you through the how to enter the website, how to apply, what to write down on your resume, and how to apply for this position. That way you can go ahead and get that call back from the recruiter. Also, at the very end, I'm going to give you, if you qualify, all right, don't be one of these scumbags. I get guys all the time reaching out to me. Oh, Ken, I don't qualify. Is there something that I can do? Bro, stop wasting everybody's time. There's a time and place for everything. If you don't have that background, don't worry. I got you. I got another contract that's going to get you started where you can start moving up from the bottom and working your way up to the top, all right? But for these higher paying contracts, they're wanting guys with that former Spec Ops background, especially for this contract. The same company is also hiring former combat arms guys, like infantry guys, or whatever combat arms that you are, 19 Deltas, whatever you guys got for the Marines. But they're hiring for those guys in Haiti. All right. So one thing you can do is, apply for this position. They got those lower paying, lower tier contracts for conventional forces guys. But this one that I'm doing right now is specifically for Spec Ops. If you got a background, MARSOC, Rangers, SEALs, Green Berets, this is it for you. All right. So right now I'm going to break down what this company is, but let's go ahead and first open up a browser of your choosing. All right. I open up Google. We're going to go ahead and type in UG Solutions. All right. It should be the first one, and you see it right here. We deliver solutions worldwide. All right. You're going to click into that. We're going to scroll down and you're going to click apply. All right. Now take a look at the contracts that you're seeing right now. Advanced Protection Operator, Executive Protection. Right. This is remote. But this is the one that I filled out. International Humanitarian Security Officer. All right. Those of you that have licenses with drones or flew drones in the military, you're more than welcome to go ahead and apply. Those of you that are interpreters, depending on what region of the world, most likely Gaza, that area, if you speak that language, interpreters. Medics are always hiring, right? So let's go ahead and click on the International Humanitarian Security Officer, and we're going to click apply. All right, gentlemen. So as you can see here, and guys, let me go ahead and give you a little bit of a background on what it is that UG Solutions is. All right. So UG Solutions is an American, and I'm reading this off of, doing quick Google searches and gathering information. So UG Solutions is an American private security company led by James Gavani, a former Green Beret. The firms describe itself as providing safety and security to complex humanitarian challenges around the world, operating in both high-threat and commercial environments. Now, UG Solutions' role in Gaza. This position is specifically providing humanitarian aid in Gaza. All right. UG Solutions is a subcontractor to Safe Reach Solutions, working under the Gaza Humanitarian Foundation, a U.S. and Israeli-backed initiative to distribute aid in Gaza outside the traditional UN system. UG handles on-the-ground security during aid distribution, including crowd control at distribution hubs, while SRS manages logistics. All right. Now, I'm not going to get into some of the negative press that UG Solutions have gotten because, I've been overseas and I've dealt with humanitarian aid, for example, in Iraq. Any of you guys that were there during the earlier years of the war and saw what it was like to try to corral personnel for the gas lines. It was a wild, wild west. Sometimes you even have VBIEDs explode outside, while they were waiting for gas. I don't think I'm gonna put that on the video, but anyways, so people will lose their minds when they're hungry. They'll do whatever. I mean, think about it. If you're starving and you haven't eaten in weeks, and you have got a family that relies on you with little ones and babies, and you're breastfeeding mother, and she needs nutrients and she needs food in order to produce that milk for that baby, you're gonna do whatever it takes. So these are the kind of things that are happening overseas, and from what I'm gathering and the information that I've gotten is you're doing crowd control. You're for those distribution hubs, and it gets crazy out there. So sometimes in order to keep that from being chaotic, you have to use a certain level of force, to keep everybody in line. So just imagine, just like you saw in the Black Hawk Down, what that looked like in that scene, and I'll put it up there. In that scene where the Somalis came and just started grabbing all the humanitarian aid, it looked like the Wild West. So that's kind of the situation that you're probably going to be involved with. So when you see the concerns and allegations, just remember, the people that are reporting this are AP and Politico, and we already know which side of the political spectrum they lean on. All right, so take that with a grain of salt. So back to International Humanitarian Security Officer. Right. So this is what you may do, and it lists everything that you may do. For the sake of time, I'm not going to read all of these, but I am going to get into the preferred qualifications. All right, because that's what every contracting company, all these companies are looking for. If you meet the required qualifications, and then they also ask for the preferred qualifications. So right now they're asking for prior experience in conflict zones preferred, right? So anybody that's worked in Iraq or Afghanistan during the earlier years of the war, you got a little bit of taste of that because you got that instability. That's going to look favorable for you. And once we get to the application portion, the reason I'm telling you this is because you need to learn how to articulate this, right? A lot of things in life, a lot of these applications, they're waivable as long as you can articulate and you have the evidence to back that up. Let's skip to the next bullet. Prior experience in combat MOS, SOF, SWAT, local and federal law enforcement roles. All right. So obviously, when I filled out, I'm a former Spec Ops guy. I've done a lot of overseas contracting in various agencies, organizations, departments. Right. So when I filled out my application, I always, if I ever fill out a role that I meet those requirements for, I'm getting a call within 30 minutes to an hour. Right. Seeing as how the owner of this is a former Green Beret, if you're a Green Beret, they're probably going to take a very high liking to you and contact you immediately. Again, that's just my observation, and this is coming from my buddy down in South Florida, whose employee is working over there for UG Solutions, and he was a former Green Beret as well. All right, so just take that into consideration. SWAT is always a good thing as well, because if you're a full-time SWAT, a lot of these overseas contracts, they're taking 5 or more, 6 more years of full-time SWAT team. That's the equivalent. You have the tactical know-how, you have that medical training, you have that required training to do those roles overseas. All right, we're going to get down to the next bullet. Proficient and up-to-date qualification small arms weapons. Don't worry about that, guys. Like if you're a former Spec Ops guy, especially if you're a local or federal law enforcement in those SWAT roles, you're going to be qualified with weapons. If you're a USCCA instructor or NRA instructor and you've got certified instructor credentials, you're gonna be able to qualify for that. 4 years or more on active duty, right? That's a big one. 2 or more combat deployments. That's huge right there, because they want to know if you can handle the stress of being deployed, if you've been around this environment and understand the dynamics of the way that people operate overseas, know your operational environment. Okay. Security clearance, A+, not required. All right. So obviously there's a portion once we get to the application where they'll start asking you if you're, what level of clearance you have. It doesn't get any further than that. They don't ask you when it was last adjudicated or anything like that. Next bullet. We're also seeking Arabic speakers of Egyptian, Jordanian, Iraqi, and Lebanese dialect, right? So that's a big one. I've seen guys that they have positions that were interpreters, just like when we looked at it earlier. If you're an interpreter and you speak any of these languages, please apply. Go to UG Solutions, and instead of applying here for this humanitarian role, go apply for the interpreter role. Most likely you'll fit that. Now, if you're a former Spec Ops guy and you've got Iraqi dialect Arabic or some sort of Arabic, you're gonna fit in. If you're a former WIPS guy, I've worked with interpreters who were WIPS, WPSS, PSS interpreters, and they spoke different dialects of Arabic. Well, guess what? Apply for this because you've done some of these roles, contracting overseas. You speak that language. You understand high threat environments. Go ahead and apply for this role. All right. Let's go ahead and apply now. All right. So right here, please, guys, look. Make sure that when you put a resume together, we live in a world now with artificial intelligence, right? There is no excuse why you should be having some kindergarten chicken scratch, as a resume. I think before, when I used to help guys out with their resume and for ChatGPT, I would look at their resumes and I'm like, man, you're asking to get into this position, and did you even try? No, I just put some bullets together. Well, look, man, the employers are going to see that. Your goal is to make it as so simple that recruiters see that and be like, crap, all my work is done. Hey, man, out of these bullets, out of all this stuff, I know that he can write his bio based off of this, and now he can get approved for a PSS or a firearms instructor or, USC or whatever it may be, right? The reason I'm using these examples is because you want to make life easy for the recruiters. Every time I contact or every time I apply, I put bullets. When there's a section that puts notes, I add detailed notes on why it is that I qualify for that role or what experiences I have in the past, or I elaborate on those experiences. That way when the recruiters see that, they're like, yep, got it, check him out. Okay, he doesn't have that, but wait, what's that? Okay, cool, yeah, that transfers over. Hey man, this guy's a shoo-in, right? And I get those calls immediately. So that's what I want for you. I want you to get called. I want you to get hired on, all right? So make sure that when you put a resume in there, a CV, it's a legit one. Use ChatGPT. There's other platforms right now. You can even use ChatGPT and ask it as a prompt. Hey, ChatGPT, can you provide me with websites or programs that help write a resume for me? And then it'll spit out all the information. You just pick whatever you want to pick and put your detailed information of what your ERB said or your former NCOERs or whatever you may have, or awards. Compile all that stuff together and let the thing write the damn resume for you. Also take the job description, copy all of it from the job description, combine it and tell it, hey, this is the prompt that you should be saying. Take my take this job description that I'm pasting right now, paste the job description, and then utilize all of these attachments that I've given you with all of my awards and write a resume based off of that to match the job description. Guess what? Now you got a finished product, right? Or you can contact me and I can do your resume and I can do it all for you. One-stop shop. Obviously, it's going to cost you a little bit because you're taking, this is time that I'm taking to help you out. But at the end of the day, you're going to get a nice finished product, all right? And I've already told you how to do that. All right, so obviously, you're going to fill out first name, last name, email, all right? And then, again, you could do a cover letter. I didn't do a cover letter. You don't have to do a cover letter. You're already putting your resume there. Don't worry about the cover letter, right? Full name, going through that, right? It's going to ask you your citizenship. Please be a U.S. citizen, right? Do you hold dual citizenship in foreign countries? I don't, so I put no, all right? But it's asking you if you do, go ahead and put so here. I don't know if they're disqualifying personnel that are not U.S. citizens, but I'm assuming if they're asking for former special ops guys or guys with local and federal, that kind of alludes to they want U.S. citizens, right? So let's fast forward. All right, driver's license. They're going to ask, this is all the basic stuff that you would see in any other application, especially ones working overseas, right? This is a big section. If you were dishonorably discharged, guys, that's a big one. Somehow you messed up in the military somehow, you get a dishonorable discharge, man, things are not going to be looking good for you in the contracting world. I don't know. You might try the French Foreign Legion, but other than that, I've never seen a dishonorable discharge person go ahead and make it through the process to get into any of these overseas contracts. Do you have any pending legal action? Just and another thing is also be truthful on everything that you do, right? If you say you got the experience that you do, back that up with paperwork documentation. If you have any sort of legal actions going on, please disclose that, because the last thing you want to do is help this recruiter get your packet going. All of a sudden they do a background check on you and they find out that you like to touch little girls or whatever. Like you're a scumbag, but you don't belong in that organization. You're wasting people's time and you're not going to get hired on. All right. I don't know what this is. Are you prepared to pass a panel urinalysis? Yeah, go ahead, right? Hey, this is another thing. I get a lot of guys that are older. They're within my age range, right? You get your testosterone levels checked out and you realize, hey man, I'm coming at 260. So now you just went to a doctor. You got a prescription for testosterone replacement therapy. You're back in the game. You're feeling like a stud. You're working out. You're looking good. But maybe you feel some kind of way because you're like, hey, if I take this urinalysis, am I going to pop hot for steroids? Well, even if you do, the simple fact that you have a prescription, that is a prescribed drug. So they're not going to penalize you for it. Guys, right now I'm on testosterone therapy, replacement therapy, right? My levels were at 263. I've got it checked on several occasions, CPAP machine, I knocked it out with the VA, all that good stuff. At the end of the day, I got tired of not receiving the help that I needed, so I ended up going through a specialist, getting my blood work done. They put me on a regimen. I feel great now. I got my energy back. I'm looking good. I'm working back out in the gym. All my aches and pains that were hurting before, they're not hurting anymore, right? It's still not stopping me from getting hired on or getting these callbacks from these recruiters, right? So even if you're on testosterone replacement therapy, just please make sure that you disclose that and you have a letter from your doctor ready to be provided showing that you are on a regimen prescribed by a physician. All right. Do you currently hold a security clearance? Obviously, put down that, and then it'll tell you, all right, TS, TSSCI, all that good stuff, right? This is where we start getting to the meat and potatoes of things, right? It's going to ask you, what branch were you? All right, cool, Army. Roger that. Hey, what were your MOSs? So I was a former 11 Charlie, right? Then I ended up going 18 Bravo, right? So that's that. I put that down. I also put down, later on you're going to see, I'm going to elaborate a little bit more. All right, the military status, active. All right, cool. Total years of service, go ahead and put that down. The highest rank held, all right? Put down the highest rank you ever held. Then we've got special operations experience, right? Green Beret, you see that, that's at the top. I think because it is a Green Beret owned foundation or organization, obviously you have your Green Berets at the top. But also Green Berets have a tendency of doing that humanitarian aid, foreign internal defense missions set versus a lot of other soft units that are a little bit more direct action, like the Rangers or the SEALs, depending on what their missions are. U.S. Green Berets, we have 7 different mission skill sets, so foreign internal defense being one of those, that kind of helps out a lot with this humanitarian aid. Also know that this is humanitarian aid. This isn't going to be one of those contracts where you're going to go out there and you're going to get your gun on and it's going to be some 13 hours Benghazi. As a matter of fact, they frown upon that kind of mentality, right? You're out there to specifically provide humanitarian aid. So take that into consideration. All right. So obviously I put down U.S. Army, and then I don't know if I put down other as well. Yeah, I did. And then from here, that's when I put down my previous, WIPS experience and GRS experience. And I elaborated on that. All right, cool. Have you been deployed to a combat zone? Obviously, if you have, that's one of the preferred qualifications. Go ahead and put that down. For duty positions held, go ahead and put down all that information that it's requesting from you. Have you been engaged in direct combat operations? Hopefully, some of you guys that are filling this out have. Right? You're going to take precedence because you've already been in those situations, and the companies are going to know that, all right, this guy's got a stellar background. He's got combat awards. He's got valor awards. He's been in this situation. He can compose himself more than an unknown. An unknown being someone that's never deployed, never been in a combat zone. All of a sudden, the bullet cracks over your head. Is he going to get in the fetal position and cry? I've seen that. You know what I'm saying? Is he going to hesitate and not, do what he's supposed to do? I've seen that as well, right? So that's why they want those guys with those combat experiences, because they already know they're tried and tested and true. All right, have you participated in, right? So if you're a Spec Ops guy, most of these are all going to be a part of it, right? Even some of the contracting stuff. So whenever I was GRS or State Department, we did hostage rescue operations, right? You did that kind of training, 1 man, 2 man, up to a 4 man, whatever it may be. So you did those kind of roles, right? You have it here, protective security details, right? Executive protection. Whatever your experience is, guys, go ahead and put it down. Obviously, a lot of the Spec Ops guys, you have participated in this, whether it was in training or whether it was in real world, right? So go ahead and put that down. Now, what I did was, let's say there was something that I didn't do, but I did during training. I just never got to do it during combat operations. I'll go ahead and add that comment and be like, hey, trained on this certain task, or have a master's degree in this certain, terrorism and counterterrorism field in which we did this, and that during training. I've just never applied that during combat operations. So that's where the comment section comes in, right? And give them a reason to hire you. Also, you want to stand out because, right, you got everybody and their mother. I know for a fact when I spoke to the recruiter, he told me, he was like, Ken, my phone's been blowing up. He was like, every day that goes by, it blows up more and more and more because I'll get calls from guys that are like, hey, I got my buddy who's recommended me to you. He can't do it because he's married and he's happy and he's home now, but I'm just getting out of the military, or hey, I got some free time. I want to go ahead and deploy. So this recruiter, his name is Jordan, he's getting all these calls. So what you're starting to see now, because this is big money, right? You're not seeing this kind of money in a lot of contracts, right? So this is considered big money. So you're getting everybody and their mother coming out of the woodworks, even guys like me, right? I got a family. I've got two, I got a 9-month-old and I've got a 3-year-old. I got a beautiful wife. I got a beautiful life here, and I got a great job. Even I thought about it for a second, and I'm like, man, $1,000 a day. 3 months, that's $90,000. That's tax-free as well, and I'm starting to think about these things, right? So imagine someone that doesn't have all of that holding them down. They're jumping on these contracts left and right. So what you want to do is you want to compete against them by filling out as much detailed information, providing the recruiters to be like, hey, this is why we should choose this individual over this individual, all right? Let's go down to weapons proficiency. Obviously, a lot of you guys, former Spec Ops guys, weapons sergeants, 18 Bravos. You got all of these, right? At some point in your life, you've flown a drone, whether it's civilian or in the military now. Go ahead and put that down. Anything else that you've done. So, for example, I think on this one for weapons proficiency, I don't think it says mortars, but I put down, add comment. Hey, I went to infantry mortar leaders course. I was a former 11 Charlie mortarman, and then I ended up transferring over, but yeah, I am MLOC certified, infantry mortar leader officers course. So I told him that's what I've done. Again, as much information as you have to make yourself stand out as a better candidate, that'll be great. And it all depends also, you never know. There might be other contracts where they are. I mean, I applied for one contract overseas where they were looking for a weapons mentor, and I got the position solely because I was MLOC certified, right? Because I had that mortar training and that mortar leaders course. I got that over more experienced guys with more years, right? So just be as detailed as possible, all right? What is your proficiency level within the basic small arms known distance ranges? Obviously, if you're a Spec Ops guy, you are proficient, right? So go ahead and put that down, Tactical and specialized training, check all that apply, right? So, hey, if you were on a Halo team, all right, you got MFF, sometimes like Green Berets, right? You got your specialty teams. But then you got your SEAL teams that all of them are MFF and SCUBA certified, or your CCTs that are all MFF and SCUBA certified. So you guys have the upper hand on all of this stuff, right? So just go ahead and fill out what it is that you have, make yourself marketable, make yourself stand out, right? I have right now for my civilian job, I have a cyber background. I was an ethical hacker and then became a penetration testing engineer. Now I'm doing DevSecOps and cloud engineering and dabbling with artificial intelligence. So I put all of that down. I'm like, hey, this is my background. I'm currently doing this, and I've done this and this, and I elaborated on everything that I've done. War driving, whatever the heck it may be. Elaborate on that. Make yourself stand out. I cannot keep beating that dead horse. You need to make yourself stand out. All right. Scroll down. Do you hold valid? Yep. Driver's license. You're good, right? Including concealed weapons, right? So that's another one. Do you have firearms permits? Yes. Hopefully, if you have a CCW, that would help out. Also, certifications like if you got maritime training certifications. I forgot what it's called, but any sort of water training or stuff like that, that's a good thing to put down as well, right? Just because you don't see it here doesn't mean you can't put down that certification down there, So for example, right now I'm USCACA certified to teach emergency first aid. I'm to teach concealed carry weapons. I'm about to go to a course in Pennsylvania here next month to teach rifles. I've got other certifications through Tactical Hive and other shooting courses, Rogers Shooting Academy. Like, I put all of that stuff down there to make myself stand out compared to other candidates. You also got to think about it, man. You got the big ball SEAL Team 6, deep, CAG guys. They're all applying to these positions too. So, it's pretty hard to compete against that if you were a basic freaking infantry guy or, just a SF dude when you've got to compete against these CAG guys that got everything under the belt. They've been in there for 10, 15 years, So again, make yourself stand out. I'm going to keep repeating that. Make yourself stand out. All right. Do you have medical training? That's another one, right? CPR. Everyone should have that. If you're TCCC certified, first aid certified. I know a lot of guys, they do wilderness trainings that get them EMTA and EMTB certified up in Washington. These are all great schools. Whatever medical training that you have, please put it down. If you don't see it here, again, elaborate. Always, always, always elaborate. Okay, elaborate on that. Let's say you're not a strong writer. Another thing is, please use your artificial intelligence. I remember back in the day before ChatGPT came out and all these, Claude and all these other Gemini, all these other artificial intelligence, we were using Grammarly, right? Use Grammarly, use AI. We live in a whole different world. Spellings, sentence structure, it should not be an issue. Also revise it, man. Make sure that you take out all the crap and all the fluff out of that. The M's, the long dash lines, because those kind of give away that you're using ChatGPT. You still want to be professional, but you also don't want to be that copy and paste guy where next thing you know, you're having a conversation and they're like, oh, I see here that you put down on this resume so eloquently this and this and that, and you can't elaborate what you said because you didn't freaking revise it or you didn't even bother to look at it, right? So don't be that guy either. All right, current height. Put down what it is. Dude, I'm not gonna lie, I was like, what the heck is this? Whatever, man. So I I looked it up on Google and it said just go ahead and select this. Put down the weight. All right, can you run 1 mile under 9 minutes? I know when I spoke to the recruiter, they did say that there was going to be a PT test. They asked me, hey, if you want to come on the 21st. I told them, no, I'm not available. But if I was available, what would that entail? And he was like, hey, we're going to have you run a PT test and some other things, and then, shortly deploy after. So I was like, okay, roger that. Can you carry 50 pounds of gear in prolonged periods of time? Obviously, guys, another buddy of mine who used to get seizures, right? And he was working some sexy contracts overseas. And I told him, I'm like, hey, man, how can you do this job where you literally just had a seizure with me at the airport, right? And now you're wandering around, don't know where you're at. Dude, imagine you being overseas. Now your teammates got to worry about whether you can do the job or not. You get into a situation where the seizure happens, now you're putting everybody's life at risk. So these are things that you need to really take into consideration when applying for these things and not be selfish. If you're hurting and you can't do the job or you have some sort of issue that's going to put the other guys on the team at risk, don't do it, don't apply. Don't be selfish. It's going to get found out. It's going to be exposed. You don't want that. All right, scroll down. Are you currently taking any medications? All right, that's where I put down yes, and I put down testosterone replacement therapy. I told them which clinic that I go through, when I started the medication, that kind of stuff, right? Again, didn't disqualify me. And if you're over the certain age anyways, people are going to know that your testosterone, it's a real thing, guys. Don't be ashamed of it. Go ahead and put that down. Always be fully transparent, right? You don't have to lie to get any of these positions, right? You tell the truth, you're going to get the positions. If you qualify for it, if you're a good moral and sound character, you're going to get the position, right? So don't do anything shady, don't lie, don't do any of this nonsense, all right? Just be fully transparent. Are you fluent in any other regional languages? Obviously, I'm a Hispanic descent, so I put down I speak that freaking savage tongue, you know what I'm saying? Have you received training in tactical communications or SIGINT? All right, hey guys, 18 Echoes, this is where you shine. Absolutely. Now go ahead and put down what you got, right? Over here, it's going to say the same thing. Do you have experience in encrypted SATCOM? Yes, you have. Majority of the team guys, you guys, I can't speak for other, SEALs or anything like that, but I know even as an infantryman, you dealt with radios and you dealt with SATCOM and you're always rekeying and you're doing all these other things, playing with the FPCB2 and Blue Force Tracker, these sort of technologies. Put that stuff down there, right? Have you worked in private military or security contractor role? This is your time to shine. Those of you guys that have worked those contracts overseas, right? The WIPS programs. I worked for Agility Corporation as a OMDOC SWACA weapons training mentor, whatever. All right, put that down, right? If you've worked DoD contracts, DIA security contracts, whatever contracts that you've worked or overseas, put that crap down. It's going to add validity to you. Put down the company name, the time frames that you were there, and the locations. That's what I'll put. So, have you provided security for embassies, diplomats, and VIPs? Right? WIPs, yes. GRS guys, you did. You did do that kind of stuff, So go ahead and put that down. Have you operated in non-permissive or denied environments? Yes, absolutely, right? Those of you guys with combat experience. Do you have experience working in local nationals in conflict zones? Yes, majority of you guys have worked with Gurkha Guard forces, right? Or you've worked with Iraqi army or Afghan army or whatever it may be. Yes, put that down. Are you willing to deploy OCONUS for extended periods of time, right? So one thing is, for this contract, I didn't get exactly what the rotations would be. I don't know if it's a 39, a 90-30. I don't know if it's a 2 months on, 2 months off, a 3-1. I don't know. I asked the recruiter, his name is Jordan. He's fairly new at the recruiting game, so I'd have to get back with him on that. I can't give you an exact, right? But I don't know if it's a year-long contract either. I don't know if it's just do 90 days at a time, come back home, they'll give you a call if you could come back out. I don't know, right? But I'm looking at this and it says for extended periods of times of 90 days plus. Just be wary that might be a requirement that you might need to deploy for 90 days or more. Do you have any restrictions on locations where you can deploy, right? Hey guys, for this one, if you're a free agent, I call them free agents, right? If you can go wherever the hell, you go South America, Caribbean, freaking, Poland, if you can go anywhere in the world, I would put down, no, you have no restrictions, right? And put down, I would even put down, no, I have no restrictions, willing to go to any high threat area where nobody wants to work, right? That's usually what I want to put down. That's how I got started in the IT world, right? Because you got guys that are IT, they got all these certifications, right? I ended up going into the IT world just coming out of India for 3 months, right? I applied for this company overseas, and when I spoke to the PM, he was like, "Where would you like to deploy? Because we got several locations." I told him, "Hey, I want the most dangerous position that nobody wants to go to, because I know I'll have a little bit more leniency, right, with my knowledge gap or my lack of skills in that IT realm if I go somewhere dangerous, because ain't no nerd gonna want to go do some badass shit or be in an area where they're sending freaking UAV bombs or constantly mortaring or whatever the heck it is, right?" So that's how I got into the IT world until I was able to get my skills up, able to get that. And now I'm able to apply for any job overseas within the IT space and get it because I have that experience now and I have those certifications and I have that knowledge, right? So that's why I tell guys right here, please elaborate. Do you have any restrictions or locations where you can deploy? Hopefully, if you're serious about this private military contracting or whatever you want to call it, right? Merc work, whatever. Put down no and be willing to go to the most dangerous places. Because A, you're going to make a lot of money. B, you're going to have a lot more job security because a lot of people don't want to go work on those places, right? A lot of guys think they're about that life until they actually get a taste of that life. Then next thing you know, they're dragging their mallets down the street, like what they used to do in Baghdad every time a freaking magnetic IED bomb got put on a vehicle. You see guys rolling their little luggage down to the flight line every Tuesday and Thursday, getting ready to head out. And then when you're like, "Hey, where the hell are you going?" "Oh, my wife doesn't want me working out here." I'm like, whatever, dude. If you're a bitch, just say you're a bitch, So now as a married man, I get it, but I just don't tell my wife, That's just my thing. I don't give her the full scope because I don't need her chirping behind me in my ear, telling me whatever to try to no. If you're going to go work overseas and, it's going to help your family out, it's going to get you in that, you have to weigh the risks, right? So the contracts that I was working on overseas weren't really that high risk. So it's not like I'm doing freaking joint operations with the special missions unit or getting attached to Green Berets and shadowing them. I went off on a tangent. how soon are you available to start, right? So if you select 1 or 2 months from now, August, September, October, you'll be able to deploy in October if they have a position available, because I said a lot of guys are applying. The next deployment is 21st of this month. So I'm going to shoot this video out now. It should be the 17th, Sunday. So if you can get your ass out here on the 21st, put that down also. Add the comment, hey, willing to deploy immediately, like within 24 hours or whatever. You're going to get that call back from that recruiter. I guarantee you, if there's a spot available. And I know they were adamant about this 21st, on deploying people on the 21st of August. All right. After that, go ahead. I certify that all the information. Yes. You know, how did you hear from us? Hey, put down vets to P.S.C, spoke to Ken, whatever, right? Like, this isn't a referral. I'm just putting this information out there. But most likely, this company's going to want to know how you heard about them. So go ahead and drop my name. You know, put down, hey, I watched a YouTube video from Vets to P.S.C with Ken. And Ken put this information out there. Add your DD214. And after you do all of that information, guys, you go ahead and click apply. Nothing extra, nothing special is going to come your way, right? You get an email that states, hey, roger that, you've applied for this position. You call back if you meet the requirements, right? Wait, for those of you guys that have that special ops background, that have that contracting experience, or have an extensive background, right? You're going to get that call back within 30 minutes to an hour. I'm telling you. Reach out to your buddies that are interested in that, in this line of work, or interested in getting into this line of work, or just gaining knowledge to maybe make a determination, because you never know, man. Sometimes guys get fired, you know, from work, and they're like, damn, what other option do I have? Well, if you did whips, and as long as you're within the 2 years, you can easily jump back on a contract. You know, I know school teachers that they'll teach school, and then for the 3 months that they're off on the summer, they'll go do whips, or they'll go do GRS, make their money, come back, they're jacked, you know, their bank accounts are replenished, and they're given back to society as school teachers, you know. So these are the options that you guys have. There's a lot of ways that you can maneuver in here. Again, please click and subscribe. Reach out to me if you have any questions. I'll try to answer it to the best of my knowledge. You know, and I wish you nothing but the best. All right, take care, guys.